Well, shocking new figures show the number of violent assaults on senior citizens have skyrocketed in the last decade. It's a situation that's led to some campaigners arguing for a new law with much stricter sentences.
We'll be hearing what Mancunians think about that shortly, but first, we've got a story of one man who's refusing to become a victim or a statistic.
101-year-old Pat Gillespie from Strabane in Northern Ireland has had a long and happy life. A lot of it spent on two wheels.
Chopper bikes, tandem bikes, Pickerton bikes. There's penny farthing. All there.
But last year, Pat experienced something for the very first time, a serious crime that involved a home invasion, assault and burglary.
I was in my own kitchen, sitting when this awful noise started. I thought it was thunder. The door behind me burst open, and this tall chap came in and pinned me down in the chair. I couldn't move, wasn't allowed to move. And two others come in like lightning and behind him. This is where they came through here. You can see the part of the chain system where they just busted. Oh, the hefty boys, they took it in their stride just. They had balaclavas, their faces covered, and their hands, they had gloves on. About 4 or 5 minutes passed when the two robbers come back out of my bedroom and come back up the hall, and they put, one of them put a foot across my knees, the other one stayed at the left-hand side, the other one held me down. Nobody spoke. And it was very menacing because the two fists were held on either side of my face. They lifted me up. I'm not very heavy anyway, but they lifted me up, stood me up. The boy searched me, put his hand in my pocket, and that's where I had the money.
It wasn't his money, though, that was the most valuable thing stolen from Pat that day.
My wife, who's now dead and gone, she had a few rings and bracelets and the usual things a woman wears, and what they call a jewelry box. And I'm not too sure whether it'd be worth a fortune or not, but it's gone anyway.
Eventually, the robbers left, leaving Pat severely bruised and shaken, his house a mess.
Well, we phoned the police and they came down and they searched around the back and plenty of places, hedges and stuff. They said they did a good search, you know. But I just said to myself, really and truly, what can I do?
Nearly a year later, Pat's attackers haven't been caught, although, like 48% of those who experience home break-ins, he thinks he knows who they might be.
When I think about it, it's bound to be somebody that had been in, visit me, maybe a pal, maybe a friend, or whoever there was. They had a good map of what exactly where to go, and they succeeded in getting a lot of money. It wasn't a fortune, it's £540. It was a 2 weeks pension.
Perhaps the truly frightening thing about Pat's story is that he's far from alone. In fact, recent UK-wide statistics suggest that violent assaults on senior citizens have risen by almost 260% in the last decade. So what's the solution? Well, part of the answer might lie in new laws, ones that would make assaults against senior citizens hate crimes. Here in Edinburgh, they're leading the way on proposing such radical legislation. Lesley Carcary from Action on Elder Abuse thinks the current system is letting everyone down.
What we're finding is that when these crimes are reported to the police, firstly, they're not taken as seriously as they should be. Of the few that do actually progress to the prosecution stage, very few actually end up in a custodial sentence. There's too many instances of deferred or suspended sentences, community service or fines, and for us that's just not good enough. Without a proper prosecution system, there's no effective deterrent, and that's why elder abuse will continue.
And that's why they're calling for a brand new way of dealing with the problem.
So what we're pushing for is for prosecutions of elder abuse to be treated in a similar way to crimes such as hate crime. So in hate crime, if there's a crime, for example, committed against a disabled person purely because of their disability, then there's an aggravation sometimes placed on that offence, which means that it's an uplift. It's basically treated more seriously when the judges are taking into account the factors of the case and the prosecution. So we're arguing that there should be something similar for older people. So say, for example, someone was prosecuted with an offence of theft against an older person, there would be an aggravation applied to that prosecution which makes it more serious and would hopefully either mean a longer sentence or there would be more likely to lead to a custodial sentence. And we believe that that's a much stronger deterrent to prevent these types of crimes in the first place.